AEW Dynamite last night announced the brackets for both the men's and the women's Owen Hart Foundation tournaments. We will be talking about that today on Screw the Script and my predictions on who's going to win both the men and women's. And I'll also mention one of my favorite things that happened on an episode of Dynamite in a long time, with a long-term story that's been going on in AEW on this episode of Screw the Script. Dynamite last night was another solid Dynamite. It is the go-home show for Dynasty, hence why my background color on this video is purple. But I want to do something a little bit different today. Instead of covering the usual full episode of Dynamite, I will mention what was my favorite part of the night real quick here in a second. And then the rest of this video, I want to actually cover the both the men's and the women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament brackets. I'll have it up for you on the screen, and I'll just kind of say, my piece on who I think is going to win each match and who I think is going to win long-term going forward in the tournament, and who I think will be the top two to make it all the way. And it looks like both matches are going to be matches that'll be at Double or Nothing in May. So real quick, before we get to that, though, I just wanted to show a clip of my favorite moment from last night. What I think is honestly one of the best, if not after this moment last night, possibly the best feud that has ever happened in AEW. Watch right here.
What did you say to me? I said, I know.
Swerve and Adam Page, absolute cinema. Honestly, they had arguably the hottest feud in AEW over the course of the last 12 months. We saw it kind of die off these last couple of months since Swerve was busy feuding with Mox lately. But you have that special moment that just happened backstage last night, and it was done flawlessly. I really think that this is honestly a coming of age for both competitors in AEW. They look like they're maybe going to bury the hatchet, move on from this, and possibly help each other out. Maybe Swerve, helps Hangman out in the tournament because he's actually in the bracket, which we'll talk about next. And maybe in return, Hangman helps Swerve beat Mox this Sunday in one condition that Hangman gets a future title shot. Could be something like that. So I just wanted to cover that real quick. A lot of other things happened on Dynamite last night. We saw Kevin Knight, who I love, and I expressed that in a previous video, got a tag team win with Will Ospreay. Those two are actually going to be facing off each other in the bracket that I'm about to talk about here in a moment. We saw Adam Copeland beat Claudio. We also saw the one knock that I didn't like from last night was the unisex tag. Now, unisex tags are fun, but part of the reason why I just can't stand this whole Death Riders storyline is they honestly don't look threatening at all. They lost last night. Moxley, after they lose, just does a low blow move, a dastardly heel thing to do, which that's good on that part. We saw him give his somewhat of a paradigm shift to Willow. Seemingly looks like it may have injured Willow. I can't remember if she's in the women's bracket, but we'll see that in a second. It does give him a lot of heel heat, but again, in the grand scheme of things, it just makes the Death Riders look pathetic. It makes them look weak. I just want this to end. I've expressed in multiple videos now, please AEW, please Tony Khan, finally end this Death Rider storyline that has been dragging on for months. Give the title to Swerve. Have Hangman possibly win that tournament, which I'll get to here in a second. I know I've said that like 4 times, but we'll get to it. And and go on from there. You know, just move on from this. Much like the Devil storyline, it just needs to be swept under the rug, realize it was a flop, and move on. All right, so the rest of the video, I just kind of want to go over the Owen Hart Foundation tournament brackets for the men and the women. I'll have it right here. So for you to just look at that, I'll have that up for a while. And I'll run through it on my laptop here. So starting with the men's up top, you got Ospreay and Kevin Knight. That was announced actually last night as well, that that's going to be a match at Dynasty this Sunday. So that's probably going to be match of the night in terms of pure wrestling. But I have Ospreay winning that. Kevin Knight, I think Ospreay is going to put him over. It's going to be a solid match, but I don't see Kevin Knight beating Will Ospreay right away, getting in AEW and pulling off a victory like that would be insane. And then below that, we have Brody King and Takeshita. Now this one upsets me because Brody King is such a good worker in the ring, and he just lost to Kyle Fletcher when I went to Dynamite last week in St. Paul. He did pick up a win last night against Archer. That was another match that happened. We saw Brody King beat Archer. It was a solid match. But I just don't see in a world where he beats Takeshita. I really do think that this Owen Hart Foundation tournament is going to give us another rematch between Ospreay and Takeshita, which, I mean, I'm not going to complain there, but I just want to see Brody King get what he deserves, really. At some point, 2025, have him win a singles title, something, you know. Hopping over on the other side, we got Briscoe versus Fletcher. I mean, that's probably the most obvious one in this bracket. Love Mark Briscoe. I love his energy, but there's no way he's beating Kyle Fletcher. And then the interesting one, we got Hangman Adam Page and Wild Card. Now, this could finally be Josh Alexander. I broke the news that he signed to AEW like a month ago. He's been having some visa issues, I believe, because he's Canadian, if I'm not mistaken. So, but Mike Bailey also was dealing with kind of dealing with stuff like that too, and we've seen him make his debut a couple weeks back. So I could see this wild card either being Josh Alexander, or maybe a returning like Jack Perry, maybe Kill Switch. I would love to see Wardlow back, but he's just been so injury prone lately. Whomever it is, it's going to be a really, really good match, but just with the backstage stuff that went on, I think Hangman wins regardless who it is. Then we'll go on to the quarterfinals for that. Ospreay and Takeshita, and then Fletcher and Hangman. So what I see here is I'm seeing Takeshita probably picking up another, dirty victory over Ospreay. But it's really a toss-up. That one's going to be really, really tough. The other side, if Hangman does beat the wild card, I see him going to the finals. I think they're really building Hangman again. I think he will beat Kyle Fletcher. But honestly, this is tough for me to pick. It could be a toss-up. This could be, Takeshita and Fletcher would be really interesting, actually, considering they're both part of the Don Callis family. That would be interesting to see. But Ospreay and Hangman, man, would that be an instant classic. So I'm really thinking I'm going to lean. I really think we're going to have. I think we're going to have Takeshita win. I think he's going to do whatever he can to cheat after he lost his title to Omega. So ultimately, I think he picks up another dirty pinfall against Ospreay, maybe reigniting that feud. Not quite sure. Or we see Ospreay beat him and he finally moves on and just is done feuding with the Don Callis family. So you know what? Last second, I think I'm going to go Ospreay on that side. Then on the right side, a little bit easier. We got Fletcher and Hangman. I'm picking Hangman. I think Hangman is going to get this push leading into All In. Ultimately, I think he's going to win it all. That's my pick to win the whole thing. If it's Ospreay and Hangman, that's going to be, a match for the ages in terms of AEW anyway in company history. But it could also be Takeshita and Hangman. But ultimately, I think I'm going to pick Hangman to win this. I think just with everything going on, the storytelling, the long-term booking for Hangman in 2025, I can see him, making amends with the past and just going on a run again. So next we got the women's down below. We'll go through that. Jamie Hayter, Starks. That's an obvious one. Hayter's going to win. Starks will be showcased well, but she's, only 20 years old. She's got a long career ahead of her to win a tournament. It won't be this one. Thunder Rosa, Statlander. I'm going to go with Statlander on that one. I think Thunder Rosa's gotten to an age where she's kind of just a part-timer. Excuse me. I don't think she's going to necessarily hold a women's title ever again in AEW. That's just my honest opinion. Could be wrong, but I don't see her winning this whole tournament, let alone beating Statlander. So then we got Julia Hart and Mercedes Moné. I really think that Mercedes is going to win this. I would love to see Julia Hart win. Now, that's just some bias because I am from the Midwest. But the women's one on this side, it really looks like it's going to be obvious that we're going to get a Mercedes versus Athena match because I have Athena winning against Harley Cameron at the bottom there. But ultimately, I think this is going to come down to Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes. And I hope, cross my fingers, Jamie Hayter wins the whole thing. I think now that she's back, she was one of the best in AEW before she got her long injury that happened. Now that she's back, give her the win. I think this would really push her. So I got Hangman for the men's and Jamie Hayter for the women's bracket as winners. Let me know what you think down below, who you want to win each match and who you ultimately have picked for the finals and going on to win both the men's and the women's brackets. I love this Owen Hart Foundation tournament every year. It's one of my favorite things to watch. I love the use of tournaments that we see frequently in AEW. They seem to have like 3 or 4 a year. It really makes the promotion very wrestling-centric, which I love. Completely goes against, actually, ironically, the brother of this tournament, what Bret Hart had said, which I went over in my previous video. AEW is not a bunch of tryhards trying to be actors that are wrestlers. No, it's the opposite. They're a bunch of wrestlers that are trying to put on great wrestling matches. That's why we get matches like in this tournament. You're not going to see that too often in WWE. Now, that's not a knock on WWE. It's just different product, different style. It's my preferred style, which I've said before, but I still enjoy watching WWE. I'm excited for the month of April. We got a stacked month of April. We've got Dynasty this Sunday. We got WrestleMania coming up not too long later in the month. It's going to be a good month. We'll see how everything plays out. That's all I had today on this shorter video. This has been Maverick with Screw to the Script. Thanks for watching.